Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. It's Lee from Magnetic North Adventures. Hope you're all doing well, and I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that's joined the memberships, and this is going to be part of the Bushcraft video that I've promised everyone for a while. Just basic, I'm not camping out today. I'm just going to show you the site, show you some of the supplies that's around on site, and show you some of the other things that's to do. Things that can be forage, things like that. So that's what we're going to do. Hope you enjoy the adventure. Let's get on with it. So when you're bushcrafting, this very wet timber would be of no use to you whatsoever. But if you look around, got all this moss. Now that is going to be good for keeping things cool. It holds moisture. So if that was gathered and collected, put into a container, and then food sources kept on top of that in a packet, that's going to keep your food cooler. That's going to be good on a warmer day. And the moss itself can be used to weatherproof a shelter as well. So it's got a multiple use. And then down in the valley we've got a large trench cut through the landscape, once the site of former mines. Now down there you could find potential dry wood, things like that to use, and you're going to have other things as well. Now just here, pine cones. This is damp and wet, so it's of no use at the moment, but dried out in a fire pit, they do keep your fire burning, so they can be used for that. We've got acorns here. Those can be used once they've actually been properly processed to make a blend of a coffee, but they do need to be treated before, because they are currently toxic as they are. We've got this camping area just here, so this is a nice area. You could actually put some tarps down just to sit around, have a general chit chat just there. And just here we've got this one. That I have already looked at online. That is an edible one. You would only eat the cap. That one, they eat the top, not the rest. And then basically, whilst you look around, you've got all these bits of pine needle, and pine needle is good for making a floor cleaner. Basically, if you've got an enamel mug or some sort of container, you can actually put it in there. It keeps it smelling nice. Really good to use. Just keeps your area nice and clean. And this is one of the shelters over here. Go and have a look at that one. So we've got a basic shelter here. This is what we call a lean-to shelter, and you stack the timbers up, and if you was actually wanting to sleep, crawl into here and go from there. And then around here you've got another entrance a front as well, but you always have a front and a back just in case anything happens and a storm breaks out. It means that you can get out. So right here over this doorway, you'd put a tarp over it. In the old days that would be made of leather, and later on in cloth, and then also later on in plastic and waterproofed material. That would actually stretch around here and keep you warm. It then also makes it so that anything that's around in the night doesn't get in, and you can actually be sheltered. Now these pine needles and all this other stuff around on the floor, you would stack up against the side of this to provide shelter, to stop water and rain getting in, and that's going to keep you dry and warm. That's going to keep a perfect survival shelter. And then this area here, we've actually got a fire pit. Just here, it's surrounded by rocks. So basically this fire pit you could use for putting a barbecue inside there, digging it down a bit more and cooking food in there. As I say, you have got the pine cones to keep it going. Always make sure they're dry, because otherwise they don't work. And then as we walk around, you've got more things that you can use. You've got fallen tree branches with the leaves. That would potentially be your firewood. And all these leaves and these smaller bits of sticks, they could be used for repairing your shelter. And just there we've got another shelter. Plenty of wood on the side, and it's already got a stone built centre, so you'd actually pack that out, put a tarp on the ground. That's going to be your sleeping area. And then these large sticks and timber, that's going to make your frame of your shelter. And just to show you what I mean about the padding, this is the padding of all these pine needles to actually make it nicely sheltered from the weather. Now this one had got a lot of actual build up on it, and it looked really quite nice. Somebody's obviously bushcrafted this one. There's the rope, and this here would actually be a double latch for tying off your tarp on. So that tarp would go across here and keep you again safe and dry. This is a one entrance one, so this isn't one that you'd have a full tarp across, but you just put the tarp at the very bottom. Again, that would actually stop wild animals getting in, snakes, badgers, things like that. And if you really needed to escape in a storm, then what you do is you'd find a weak spot, which would be this bit at the back, and that wouldn't be stacked as well, and you would just push it out and then crawl out this way. Now this one here, you've got this small cutting, and you've got these rocks at the side. So if ever you see that, that's going to be a small fire pit, or somewhere where you get your water collecting, just so that you can have a drink from the rainwater once it's been purified. Now you've got things like this natural bark. This can be used for extra support. You can actually put that down to sleep on that as well. Makes it really nice and comfortable. You've got the leaves, you've got the ferns, you've got the blackberry bushes for the right season, free blackberries. In this particular woodland you've got elderberries as well, so those would be very good for flowers or for berries to eat on those. You've got natural things as well, like the nettles. They can be used. I can show you some of those in a bit as well. Now, these are the nettles. Every part can be used, the leaves, the roots, the seeds, and they're all useful for food. So, if you saw nettles, these are a bit older. These parts here, these are the seeds. They can be used, the leaves, everything. You just make nettle soups, things like that, and very, very useful. Good source of iron, and definitely a staple food. So when you've got a double set of very thick set trees like this, very close, that could be a very good spot for putting a hammock in. Keeps you off the ground if you don't want to be on the ground, and then you'd actually put all your spare equipment, things like that, into that. Keeps it off the ground, keeps it safe, keeps it in one place. So just here we've got a very large fallen tree, and we've got this little stack at the side of it, the roots at the bottom, and this is a prime shelter for storing equipment on the ground. It's going to be very strong against the wind, it's not going to blow over. You've got a nice little space there. And then growing on the dead wood, got the remains of mushrooms. So next year or the year after, people would harvest those. And again, I'd highly recommend that you really learn what things are, and you see what would be edible or not. But on this particular one, you can see there's a lot of mushroom fungus starting to grow. And then, as I say, if you know what you're doing, that would be another source of food. You've got a lovely little shelter in here, which you could have a couple of people staying in there. And this is the sort of place that would keep you dry, keep you warm. It's a place that you could come and sit just here and do carvings of wood, timber, food. You could even use the tree branch as a portable chopping board. So that's something to look forward to when you bushcraft. And again, you've always got to check your surroundings. So there's an old footpath here. There's a main footpath going down this way. And the reason is, you've got to make sure that you're going to be safe at night. And if you have got wild animals, you've got to know that they could potentially be coming down that pathway as well. Now, would you actually camp, say here? No, you wouldn't, because the ground is very uneven, and potentially this is a spot that you'd get snakes in as well, because it's all uneven, they can hide easily. You've got some very boggy ground there, but here it's quite lumpy. You just would not be comfortable putting a tent or a shelter in that spot. Now this spot, this would be a good spot. You've got the large tree, and then to the side of it you've got this already large root. You could use that root as a shelter divide and build one shelter here and one shelter on this side here. This one for storage, this one for yourself. And with the rocks around here in this area, it looks like somebody has had a shelter at one time. Again, you use the stones for the padding, and also to keep the ground that bit cleaner for yourself, so you don't get all the mud and the wash from the forest. I'm going to take you to another area. So we've got another few shelters here to show you as well. Now this one here could be used as an equipment store. Personally, I'd use it as spare repairs to put new material onto the main shelter and to build that one up. Again, we've got a good wide open area, so if trees are going to fall, they're not going to affect you. But this one is what I'd say would be a repairs area. Now this is a shelter that's being built up, which is rather substantial, and this is known as the tented shelter. Really nicely stacked up. Got the two trees at the side, large timbers at the bottom, and the wood just stacked up. And then if you come around the side, you've got an escape entrance just here, and then you've got all this space inside. Beautiful. And then you've also got on this one a rather elaborate front as well, and as you can see, all the sticks that are placed and stacked between each other, they're crisscrossed, they're knotted into each other, and that makes a wonderful little shelter. If we was to go into the shelter, this is what you would see. Basically, you go down to knee height, go in the shelter, and then this is where your equipment bags would be. You've got a spare exit that side if you needed to, and then this is your living space here with your entrance out that way if you need to. So you put a tarp on that side, tarp on this side, you pack the bottom with some rocks, keeps you dry. So you put some more leaves and sawdust in there, and then you put your sleeping bag on top. And then if you wanted to, you could have the leaves and the bits of timber placed on top, just making it a bit more weatherproof, a bit more dry. That's what you could do on that one. So this one is shaped like a tent. That would be a very good place to stop for the night. These are all temporary shelters. It's not something that you would stay in long term, but it's enough to keep you dry. Just to the side, just here, we've got soil and clay, which you would use for putting a fire out. and to restore the land back to how it should be. Now this here actually used to be an old road. You've got the wall, you've got the entrenchment, and all the way up here is where carts would have been taken. And these carts back in the day would have actually been taking timber to the nearby settlements from this very woodland. And it's quite an impressive feature really, from the 1600s and 1700s. And again, you look around for things that could be useful, things that could be used. Now as we come across into another part of the woodland, we've got this one, and this is known as a pen shelter. Basically like an old animal shelter. It's quite a big structure. There is a lot of timber around, so it could be restored. And this one is basically, if you've got cattle or you've got a horse, you've got a dog that you want to keep safe over the night as well, it would be tied to this tree, and then it could actually come into this shelter to keep dry and warm as well. Now, as an emergency shelter for a small family, this would be perfect. It's got a roof, so you could actually put tarps and leather on top of that, cloth. It's well stacked on the sides. That's going to keep a very good ground break going there. And they have started to build a roof onto that one. This backside area is starting to be secured by small bits of twine and string and rope, as can be seen here. Simply briefly tied into small knots and secured just around there. This is a living tree. The corner trees are living, and then it's nicely stacked again at the bottom. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could actually stack that so it looked like that all the way up here, and build it so it was completely sheltered. So that's a really lovely feature, but it just shows you how they can be built, how they can be stacked. This is basic bushcrafting. This is going to keep you alive. It's going to keep your animals alive. It's going to keep you safe. And then, as I say, there's areas that you can forage as well for basic food, berries, mushrooms, even some barks can be ate as well. Fallen trees like this one, they can provide a back support, a place to keep equipment, a place to rest. They can even be a lookout area. So you could have somebody stood or sat here whilst everybody else slept, making sure no wild animals was coming, and you're keeping it nice and safe. So when you're bushcrafting, outdoor survival, camping, always keep an eye on where the water levels are. Keep an eye on where the water sources are, and ensure that there's going to be enough height from you and the water. You would not want to camp here in case of a flood, or down there on that plateau, but up on the valley up there, that would be a safer place. Now this water, that's going to be your cooking water, your water for washing your pots and pans in, and it's also going to be your water for your meals. So make sure that you've got purification tablets and keep the boiled water up, and that's your survival source right there. Now just down there we've got a large fallen tree and roots sticking out with the earth, and a small trench at the side. Again, that could be made into a shelter. It would be nice and windproof and dry. All you'd need to do is basically put some waterproofing into the bottom, and where the tree roots used to once stand, you would actually build a small shelter, or put your sleeping bag there as a windbreaker. That's going to keep you dry and warm as well, and that is known as the rooted shelter. So just out and come across this beautiful mushroom fungus. Really nice colour, but it's going to stay there. Things that you see when you're out and about, nature's beauties. So just down there we've got some mushrooms that you do not want to be getting near. They are known as ink caps, and they are not edible whatsoever. Stay away from those for sure. So just come across this fallen tree. It's got the remains of mushrooms there, but some new growth at the side. Then we've got these ones, the button types. I don't know enough about them, but they do look nice. They do look like works of art for nature. Do not risk eating them, it's not advisable. Now when you do bushcraft, outdoor camping or survival skills, always leave an area better than you found it. Take it in with you, you take it out. Any rubbish, you take it back with you. That's the only thing that actually goes out with you. You take your memories. You leave the area nice and clean, and you make sure that if there's a fire pit, that you actually have put it out completely, and that the fire is not smouldering. It has to be extinguished and made sure that there is no smoke, no hot embers, nothing that can catch fire. Once that's done, it's then safe to pack up, put your equipment into your backpack, and off you leave. And that's the best way to do self-sufficient bushcraft. As I say, for foraging, for food, you would actually look for local things like the berries and the pigeons if they're around, and things like that. You'd eat nuts as well if you do actually find nut trees or apple trees, the elderberries, the elderflowers, the nettles, the blackberries, the blueberries, and also the sloes for the sloe gin. You could use that as well. Now you do have to be careful of your surroundings, and you do have to keep an eye out as well. Look for areas that's potentially going to be changed, like this one here. If you didn't know about it in the night, this could be a disaster. Somebody's put the twine around, ready to start a new shelter. They've already packed the bottom with rocks and stones, and eventually there's going to be a new shelter made here as well. This will be a very nice shelter. It's going to have a front entrance here and a side entrance here. Now vines like this on trees, they're very good for actually making the shape as well of a structure before leaning all the timbers up. Well, that's the basic introduction to bushcraft. building shelters, necessity repairs to shelters, how to stack and how to store your actual equipment and yourself at night. So there will be some bushcraft in the future next year. I've just got to buy the equipment, get out there and actually get a bit more knowledge on it. Safety first, always carry a first aid kit, carry a folding saw so that you can chop the timbers, the sticks, the wood, things like that. Always have something that you can store food and drink in, and always make sure that you've got a cup for your water, some purification device. I use a straw with charcoal inside that filters the water, cleans the water, and that's your basic equipment that you're going to need. And then also some time to dedicate to learning about more that you can do: feeding, foraging, building fires, putting fires out. So the next one, whenever I get time to do it, will be building a fire and actually lighting a fire, making a basic coke up and having a meal, then putting the fire out safely. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone once again, and I hope you enjoyed this little adventure. And until the very next time, thanks for watching. This is Lee at Magnetic North Adventures. Bye for now, everyone. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you soon. Bye.